Emma was an attractive and very enchanting young woman. She grew up in a well-off family, but wasn't spoiled and was hardworking. Her mother was a very powerful woman who was always involved in her daughter's life, telling her who to be friends with, who to talk to, and how to behave in different situations. She wasn't very brave or decisive, so she often agreed with her mother, not daring to disobey her. However, as time went on, she grew up and became more confident, brave, and outgoing. Emma was blossoming. She was now a tall, fit blonde with blue eyes. She loved wearing brightly colored makeup and extravagant clothes. It was impossible to miss Emma. One day, when her mother was commenting on her friends that she didn't want Emma seeing again, Emma finally said, "Mom, I'm old enough now, and I'm not as stupid as you think. I can tell the difference between good and bad, and now I'll be deciding who my friends are, who I talk to, and who I love. By limiting my freedom, you aren't protecting me from mistakes. By making my own choices, I might make mistakes, but they will be mine, and I will learn from them." After that, her mother never interfered again. Despite her appearance, Emma dreamed of real love, like in a fairy tale, of romance, and of the one person who would become part of her. Benjamin was the second, but long-awaited child in his family. The first was Abigail. She was a young rascal who was friends with boys, bossed them around, and often fought with them. Abby's mother called Abby out for her boyish behavior and reminded her she was a girl and should look and act accordingly. Abby answered that she would become womanly when she got older, but this is how she wanted to spend her childhood, playing soldiers and climbing trees and over fences. She was very brave, decisive, and could put anyone in their place. Abby's parents really wanted a boy, but her mother couldn't get pregnant. In the end, they were lucky, and Ben was born. The mother thought the world of the boy, always used baby talk with him and played around with him all the time. Ben grew up fairly spoiled, and so there were conflicts between Ben and his mother on one side, and Abby and their father on the other in terms of child raising. Despite the mother causing this, she always defended him. The father was stricter, but also fairly lenient with their son. Ben's true enemy was Abby. She never gave him a break. She controlled his success in school, made him do her homework, made him apologize when he was right, and punished him for things that didn't happen. Sometimes Ben hated Abby, but was also very afraid of her. He could manipulate his parents, but not Abby. She had her brother in an iron fist. Ben thought of how to get revenge on his sister and dreamed of how she would leave them soon. Abby was very responsible, disciplined, and goal-oriented. She finished medical school and moved to a different city. Despite her appearance, she didn't date other guys, maybe because she fairly critically evaluated them, and maybe because she just didn't meet the right guy. Ben was finally free. At his parents' insistence, he went to college and tried to study. Besides school, he had no real plans for the future. He saw Emma in a grocery store. It was the first girl who had moved him so much. He couldn't stop looking at her. She looked like his perfect idea of a woman that he would want to see himself with. They met, and Ben offered to take Emma home and help her with her bags. Emma liked his manners and agreed. Ben asked her on a date. With every date, she excited him more and more, but Emma didn't feel the same thing that pulled him to her. All of Ben's friends said she wasn't for him. She didn't need someone worthless like Ben, but Ben decided he would do anything to provide for Emma. He even got a job. Even though he complained to his friends and parents about how hard it was to work and study, he kept doing it to achieve his goal. He gave her flowers and took her to movies and to restaurants. Emma liked Ben, but she didn't want presents. She wanted to feel spiritually close to him, and she dreamed of real and true human relationships. To win Emma, Ben chose the necessary tactic. He was polite, gentle, and attentive, and finally won her over. One day, Ben was driving to Emma in a nice car and gave her a huge bouquet of flowers and proposed to her. "Emma, I love you. Believe me, I feel real, deep love for you. I will definitely make you happy." She was touched, believed his words, and agreed to marry him. When Ben finished school, he got a job. It was going well, and he climbed the career ladder fairly quickly. He showered Emma with expensive presents, but he didn't get the gratitude he expected and always got upset and said any girl would dream of taking her place. But Emma didn't need these presents. She needed closeness and a soulmate, which she wasn't finding in Ben. Ben got bored of Emma quickly and started paying attention to other girls. He went through them like pairs of gloves, thinking it was love every time and thinking this new one might be the one he could spend his life with. A month passed, and Ben was bored again. He had lost interest in the new girl and began looking for a new one. Emma opened an animal shelter to fill her spiritual hole. She gave everything to her work. The animals paid her in turn, and she got the love and tenderness from them that she had been missing. Ben was so bored of all the girls at one time, he started paying attention to Emma again. He was sensitive, attentive, and caring again. Their relationship began to improve, and they even planned a trip together. But something awful happened. Emma got into a car accident. The doctor's verdict wasn't comforting. Ben was told that if Emma came out of her coma, she would be bound to a wheelchair. Emma came to after a couple of months in the hospital, and Ben took her home. He immediately hired a caretaker for her who took care of her day and night. At first, Ben supported her and tried to do everything he could. However, he got fed up very quickly. Her helplessness disgusted him, and the smell of her medicine and the endless surgeries frustrated him. He went back to his old ways, going through girl after girl, trying to find happiness on the side. One day, he met Chloe. This girl knew which men to talk with and spend time with and how to do it to get herself a carefree life. She wrapped Ben around her finger. She knew about Ben's wife, but that didn't stop her from making an ultimatum. She said she was tired of their short meetings. She needed more. He needed to get divorced, or there were many others who would take his place. Ben did what she said like a little boy. He said he couldn't get divorced now, but Chloe could move in. Ben decided his sick wife couldn't do anything anyway, so he would do what he wanted. Because of that, maybe Emma would want to get a divorce and leave the house or simply die. Chloe thought this was fine and agreed without thinking. Ben came home hugging this unattractive, unprincipled woman. Emma looked at Ben and, not understanding, asked, "Dear, who's this?" "This is my new woman. She's going to live here with me now," Ben said without an ounce of shame. "Here? With you? So you brought another woman to your house with your living wife? What about me?" Deep in her soul, Emma wasn't really surprised. She always knew he was capable of this. You're a vegetable. I don't think you have long left. I'm a man, and I need this. I'm still young, and my life will continue," Ben answered arrogantly. "Okay, dear, as you say. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Abigail is coming over today to live with us for a while. We talked and she agreed." "What, Abigail? You know my sister?" Ben's face changed to something unrecognizable. There was no trace of his previous arrogance. Despite many years passing, Abby still made Ben afraid. They hadn't talked since she had moved out. Abby understood they had nothing in common. They were strangers, so she didn't try to force a relationship. "Of course, I've known her for a while, but you were so busy you never noticed." Then there was a knock at the door. It was Abby. She came in, said hello, didn't hear an answer and asked, "What's going on? Who's this?" she asked Ben, pointing her finger at the strange girl. Ben grimaced from her voice and tone. He grabbed Chloe by the hand and pulled her towards the exit, saying, "Let's get out of here. There's nothing for us to do here." Abby and Emma got along wonderfully. Abby was a nurse and knew all about Emma's health problems long before she came, so she studied different techniques that could help her sister-in-law. Emma didn't have any real hope, but she did everything Abby said. Surprisingly, positive results were clear after a month, and 4 months later, Emma could get up and take a short step. She had a lot of work left to do, but there was no doubt that she would walk. Abigail met a man who was the first one she had loved in her life, and she was sure she was ready to spend her life with them. Ben tried to make his peace with Emma, asked for forgiveness, and said he would change. Emma didn't even give it a second thought. She could walk again soon, and filed for divorce. Abigail got married and gave birth to a daughter, with Emma becoming the godmother. After a few years, Emma met a man who gave her a fairy tale relationship she'd always dreamed of. It was romantic, and they were incredibly spiritually close.